Cryptography, an algorithmic art of encryption or decryption of certain codes. Certain ciphers, for example, are Caesar cipher, which is a type of substitution cipher in which each letter in the plain text is replaced by a letter some fixed number of positions down the alphabet, or the Atbash cipher, which is a monoalphabetic substitution cipher. This works by replacing the alphabet backwards, in effect. So A is Z, B is Y, C is X, and on the other side, Z is A, Y is B, and X is C. One of the most famous ciphers in history was that of a serial killer, and the subject of this week's movie review, Zodiac. Zodiac is one of my new favourite movies. Its acting, direction, and the story it's based on are all incredibly well done. The Zodiac premise is in the late 1960s/early 1970s, a San Francisco cartoonist, Richard Graysmith, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, becomes an amateur detective obsessed with tracking down the Zodiac killer, an unidentified individual who terrorizes Northern California with a killing spree. The story of the Zodiac is based on the true story of the Zodiac killer, one of the most fascinating points in history, a truly disturbing one at that. Overall, I think that this movie is incredibly well done, and I highly recommend you go watch it on Netflix now. Beautifully composed, slow, and extremely sinister movie, which grips its audience until the movie is over. David Fincher, the director, encapsulates his audience, a movie rich in period detail and dripping with style. The 2.5-hour movie holds one's attention throughout, showing us and making us come up with our own explanations to the horrific question, who is the serial killer? Who is Zodiac? The direction of this film is brilliantly slow. It frustrates you until you are paranoid, and most importantly, driven to want to know who the Zodiac is, just like the film's characters. Its pacing really allows you to take in all the information and gain a perspective most films won't allow you to achieve. The director does not ram down our throats certain narratives, but merely shows us the answers and lets us fill in the questions. Not only this, but he makes this movie a truly eerily representation of the era which was so horrifically terrorized by these serial killers, but does so in an artistical brilliance. Jake Gyllenhaal is endearingly watchable. This is essential to the role Graysmith and to the last half of the movie. As his character falls further and further into the rabbit hole, which is the truth of the Zodiac, it becomes easier to feel alienated. Instead, you feel sympathetic for him. His hunger for the truth is infectious, making you want to know just as much as him. This brilliant performance by Gyllenhaal really makes you appreciate him as an actor. As well as Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr.'s alcoholic portrayal as police reporter Paul Avery shows another amazing performance. However, I would like to see more of Avery. Understandably, his character becomes somewhat of a ghost in real life, so it might have been a bit disrespectful to the actual story of the Zodiac. As well as this, Mark Ruffalo has another amazing performance, but it's hard to find a movie where he doesn't do an amazing performance. Out of all these performances, one stands out. The performance by John Carroll Lynch was breathtaking. I compare his performance to that of Cameron Britton in Mindhunter. Icily chilly, harmlessness, but mixed along with inherent menace. John Lynch's performance honestly sends chills down your spine. With his puzzling portrayal, it becomes harder to watch and more sickening each moment he's on screen. I think what makes the film as brilliant as it is the actual story. The story of Zodiac is such a fascinating one, and honestly, you could read into it for days upon end. Obviously, people like Richard Graysmith actually did, and they spent their whole life focusing on the Zodiac. But you honestly have to remind yourself that this movie isn't just a movie. It actually happened in real life. But the set pieces, the dresses, the clothing that they used, it's so realistic that you honestly have to convince yourself that this isn't just a documentary showing what actually the chilling events that happened. Its twisted turns and inexcusable offences makes you appreciate the fact that this movie wasn't overly fantasized and made into a film with an ending as pleasurable as films like Seven, which give you closure, but rather end on a note of possibility and curiosity. It makes you want to go and find out who the actual Zodiac was. A brilliant end to such a chilling movie. I think the reason why I love this movie so much personally was the fact that it's so realistic. You watch it and you honestly think you're getting shown a re-visualization of the events that occurred. And you have to thank every single person who was involved in it because of the fact it's so heavily realistic. Overall, I rate the film Zodiac 90%. I love how the story is kept at the forefront and how well the performances by all was. I also really love the story of the Zodiac. I think it's such a fascinating piece of history, a chilling and disturbing one at that, but I also really find it fascinating. And I think the director did such an amazing job in making sure that the story was not forgotten, and he didn't try to put too much spin on it. He didn't try to involve scenes which didn't happen, because you could have made it a story where the Zodiac was found and make it in a parallel world, but I think making it a story where the Zodiac has never been caught and giving us that, oh, these are the possibilities, really makes it a movie where you want to watch it over and over again just to make sure that you didn't miss anything.